What's up, guys? Welcome back to Mike It Yourself, and this week's video we're gonna enhance our audio and check it out. Pretty cool sign, huh? Thanks to my buddy Doyle out there. Thanks again, Doyle. Appreciate it, bud. Damn it. Okay guys, so if you haven't watched my videos on the installation of the speakers and amplifier on my Road Glide, that's posted. Take a look at that. And I also have a review of the sound after about a month, a little over a month of using that sound setup, and just you get to hear my feedback. And once you do see those videos, you know that I've partnered with Cerwin Vega, who has been kind enough to provide us the equipment to try to put together a package that really is affordable and sounds amazing, right? So with that said, I reached out to the guys over at Cerwin Vega and I said, guys, DSP, man, like, do I need it? Do you don't need it? Like, what's the scoop on it? I'd like to test it out for my viewers. I like to show the people who watch my channel whether or not they need it, because again, the experts are confusing the heck out of me, and I'm Joe Average in a garage. I'm actually Mike Average in a garage, but let me go ahead and try to put one in and we'll figure it out. So the guys were kind enough to send us over a 6-channel DSP to test out and see whether or not it has a positive impact on the output of our stereo system, right? So really trying to figure out, is this necessary? Because the reality is if it's not, then why buy? And if it is, then a definite recommendation. And if at the end of this video you find that you want to go ahead and purchase some of the products from the Cerwin Vega guys, check out their website. When you go to checkout, throw in the promo code Mike It Yourself and save yourself some bucks. So along with this DSP, they sent us some really cool speaker grill covers for the uppers and lowers, so the upper fairing and then the lower fairings on that 2017 Road Glide, just to kind of make it a little bit nicer, and we'll take a look at these once we get them on. But before we do that, let's talk about the DSP itself. Okay, so let's talk about what model we got. So we got the 6-channel DSP from Cerwin Vega Mobile, and this will support up to, of course, 6 channels, right? So they do have an 8-channel model, and they have another model. I forget how many channels it is, but it actually has an LCD display on the device itself, so you can actually program or set up your EQ through that device or through that LCD display. But for our application, we're going to use a laptop computer. So for things that you're going to need in order to make this happen, you're going to need, of course, your DSP. You're going to need a laptop computer, because you're going to have to hook that bad boy up with a USB connection to your DSP to be able to set those settings appropriately. And then you're going to want to make sure you have an extra set or two of male-to-male RCA adapters, because this sits in between your head unit and your amplifier. So you probably already have the needed RCAs to go from your head unit to this, or we'll say from this to your amplifier, whichever side you want to call it. But what you're going to need is another set to go from one device to this, right? So you're missing that one extra set of RCAs, so make sure you get those before you move on. The software to do the programming of this DSP is Windows based, so if you're only using Mac, then you're gonna have to borrow your buddy's Windows computer, sorry. But that said, the unit here is super small. I love how compact it is, especially because it's going to be going into our fairing. So I want to save space, and I don't need something that's going to be huge, clunky. As far as features go, I got a 15-band equalizer set up, so that means we're going to have a nice wide range of tuning that we're going to be able to do. Enough with the talking. Let's get into the installation. We're not going to get to the step-by-step, because the point of this video isn't showing you how to install this piece of equipment, but whether or not it's what we need and how do we set it up when it comes down to the EQ adjustments. Okay, so we've got, God, there's like wires are adding up quickly. So we've got the unit in here. I've got it kind of just hung in there because, again, this is me. I'm exploring. I don't know So I will have to come back up in here to better mount this more permanently. But what I wanted to do is kind of get it in there to, you know, again, test it out, see if it works out. So now that it's in there, what I did do to kind of, again, make future programming changes a little easier is I routed the USB wire through the fairing and up through the speaker area. So I don't know if I'm going to try to get it to go into this pocket, or if I'll just go ahead and let it kind of tuck it away in there and hide it. But I think, you know, maybe might need to get like a cap or something for this thing to kind of protect it from moisture and stuff like that, because that could cause problems in the future. But for now, again, we're testing. So when I get ready to more permanently mount things, I think I'll make those changes. So for now, we've got it in. I'm going to put the bike back together because there's nothing I really need to get to that's on that unit. There is a sensitivity setting on it. I just kind of arbitrarily selected about halfway because it's a minimum max. There's no measurement in between. So I just went halfway, and if I have to adjust that later, that's fine. I'll tear it apart again. But for now, proof of concept, right? We're just trying to figure it out. So let me get this thing buttoned back up and we'll plug in and start looking at the software. Now that we're all kind of buckled up, what I ended up doing is running the USB wire into this little pocket, so you can kind of see I just snaked it through there. And you're going to have to use an extension wire to be able to connect to it if you want to go to a laptop. It is an extra step, but it beats having to take off your fairing in order to do this. Now, the DSP has the capability to connect via Bluetooth, but I'm hearing that's not always the most reliable way to tune a DSP. So, I mean, you could try it. This is not a big problem, and I have an extension wire. You want to make sure you get one of the good extension wires. If you don't, then when you try to connect it on your app, and you'll see what I mean, it just won't connect. So we got this hooked up, and yeah, let's take a look at the computer stuff here now. Now, when you're getting ready to do your, you know, sound stuff, you're going to want to capture a little bit of information, right? So the one thing, or very important for you to find, is what's the frequency response for your speakers, right? Because, you know, frequencies outside of that response area kind of don't do you any justice. They don't do you any good, right? Your speaker doesn't operate in that area. So what you want to do is focus in on what that frequency response is, you know, and if depending on what speaker you have, it's going to be per channel. So if you have subs on one channel, highs on another channel, mids on another channel, then the frequency responses for each of those channels is going to be different, right? You're going to adjust it as needed. Now, all four of my speakers are the same, so I don't have to have that level of complexity. So I don't have to worry about it, right? So with these speakers that I have, and these are the Cerwin Vega SM65F4, so these are two-way 6.5 4 ohm speakers. Their frequency response is 70 hertz to 18,000 hertz, right? So 18 kilohertz. So that is my frequency range. So it took me quite a while to kind of just keep messing around with it. And I'll tell you what, like, your ear is the best thing to use, right? I read through a bunch of crap that said things should operate here and there, but one of the things it doesn't account for when you look at those Google searches and doing the AI stuff is the vehicle itself, like the housing of where the speakers are going to be at and all that stuff. So what I mean by that is, as I kind of went through and started kind of tweaking everything, some of the things I found were the lowers, that housing sucks. So when you put for sound, I love the lowers as they are because they block the wind really great. So that I love that part. But as far as them being a good place for a speaker, no, not so much. And maybe you can address that with some polyfill or something else. I don't know. But for lower tones or lower frequencies, bass essentially, that those lowers, they just vibrate a lot. They don't sound really good at all. So as I was kind of toying around with it, I just couldn't find that sweet spot. I was getting some like that vibration of the plastic, so I couldn't figure out what that was. So let me kind of walk you through the method to my madness and just a tip and a trick that I use. So what I did do is I went through and shut down each channel, right? So I just kind of went through and, you know, started on my 4th channel, doing my tweaks or whatever it is. So these 2 channels here are my uppers, these are my lowers. And I focused in on one speaker. So I just slowly started tweaking everything. And what I found though, is like I said, the lowers, the frequency in that area is just bad, right? So what I would do is use different types of genre music. So I use like really heavy bassy, kind of like Buddy Holly / you know, 50s, 60s type hits to get a good, you know, resonance, or, you know, something that would really make the lower sound bad, actually. I mean, that's what I was trying to do, to nail in that frequency. And what I first started doing was trying to play with these as the music was playing. And of course it changes up, so it comes and goes, and you're trying to catch it. I mean, it was literally worse than trying to find your favorite song on the radio when you were trying to record it with a cassette tape. Like, it was a pain. So what I figured out as a trick is I leverage my filters, because like I said, this is what lets those frequencies go through. So because I knew it was a lower frequency, what I did is I took my high frequency, even though it says it's low frequency, but really this is the top end. So basically this number, it's saying anything below this number is good. That's what it's saying, right? So it's kind of backwards to how you would think it would be, right? So I dropped that thing down to like 400, and I isolated just the low, the bass, right? And that let me figure out, like, okay, where's that tone specifically? So I could raise this one up, lower that one down, and really hone in exactly where that issue was. And then I said, oh, you know what? Let me set the bottom end to, we started out at 65. I raised it up to 175 because, like I said, those lower, the housing there, terrible for the sound. So I took a lot of that low, the bass, out of the mix and really focused in on the mid and high for those lowers. For my uppers, I toyed with it a little bit different. So I dropped it down, or I raised it up from 65 to 100. And honestly, like, I was kind of going back and forth between 65 and 100 to hear the differences. And really, I didn't sound much of a difference, but I did notice the speaker seemed to react better with the higher filter there. So I left it at 100. So the difference is the lowers are at 175 and the uppers are at 100. So I'm cutting off anything that's below 100 there, cutting off anything that's below 175 for those lowers. And that really kind of made the sound a lot better. I started just kind of working through also the other sounds, just toying with them to hear, and I was jumping through genres. And unfortunately, I couldn't record that just because I was using the music that I like, and of course there's copyright, right? So that's always a big pain in the butt. But I wanted to make sure I used good stuff, right? The stuff I'm literally going to be listening to while I was cruising down the road. So that's how I programmed it in. On the upper end, what I did find is initially I went kind of high on these, and man, it was kind of ear piercing, and I'm like, that's just too much. It sounded very clear, but wow, like you could, yeah, almost feel it in your teeth, man. So I dropped down on my 18 kilohertz. I went with a a gain of 8. So that thing goes up to like, I think it's like 12 or something like that. So I went out to 8 and then set my Q factor to about 1.4. Actually, I want this to be, yeah, 1.4. That's fine. That was kind of the stock setting, and it sounded great. And then I kind of dropped down here. So I still got my high, but I just reduced it all. So I kept it kind of in the same shape, which gave me the same curve here, but just brought it all down all together, right? So after all was said and done, then I started kind of, you know, unmuting them to start bringing them in to get a good full sound. And that's essentially how I use it. I will tell you, it sounds really good right now here in my garage. I am so friggin' excited to hear what this thing's gonna sound like on the road. So that'll be the next step here. And if it does exactly as it sounds in the garage here, then that'll prove out that a DSP makes a world of difference. So yeah, so let me see if I can cue something up so at least you guys can hear it. Yeah, so I'll do that. Look at them speaker grill covers. They look amazing. I like that you can actually see your speaker through this a lot better than the stock ones. Always cool to have the logo, right? And then same thing with the lowers. The lowers were a little tricky, so you gotta, I guess, separate it to get the ring on, and then because the ring goes on the back side of the speaker, and then you gotta pop the grill part in. So that was a little tricky, but they look amazing. I love how that looks. So if you're wondering if you want to get yourself some different grills, Cerwin Vega is the way to go. Guys, I just got back from a ride and the verdict is in. You 190% want to get a DSP for your ride if you don't have one already. And I'm saying that because I can tell you right now, this stereo sounds at least, and I'm not even trying to exaggerate here, guys, at least 10 times better. It sounded great. It was very loud, but the quality of sound is nowhere near comparable than when you're running a DSP. It made a major difference. So if you're wondering, do you need a DSP for your system to work? The answer is no, you don't need it to work. But if you want it, if you're investing the money to upgrade your stereo system, if it's just the speakers, if it's the amplifier, if it's a head unit without a built-in DSP, you're gonna want one of these. So this one just happens to be the CV DSP 66. That's a 6-channel DSP from Cerwin Vega. They have one with an LCD built into it. They have an 8-channel one. And then they also offer amplifiers that have built-in DSPs. And then if you want to look at their sister company, Dominant Audio, they have a head unit that looks amazing and has a built-in DSP as well. So the bottom line is, you might not need a DSP, but I promise you, you want a DSP. So 110%, make sure you get yourself one of these because it will make all the difference in the world. The quality of sound of this thing on the road was phenomenal. I can't even express it enough. And even if I show you if I took you on a ride with my GoPro, the quality of sound that's going to be picked up from the microphone, transferred through YouTube and into your speakers, there's no way in heck it's going to give you there's no justice in that. Okay, so I can only express to you my experience, and I was very, very kind of like on the fence of, well, do you really need this or not, right? Like, am I really just gonna fine tune the bass or something like that? Nope, nope, nope. It's way better. So I hope that, my review here lets you know that, if you're trying to get that better sound, DSP, take the time to get it. So make sure you get your factory head unit. If you're using it, get that flashed because you need to wipe out that pre-existing EQ. And then the other thing, DSP. So make sure you include that when you purchase your upgrade and you will not regret it. I promise you that. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that thumbs up. If you enjoy my content, become a subscriber. I would love to have you as a member of our community. And please, you know what? Share with us your experience, your you know, questions. Share your knowledge with us. I mean, we're really here as a community to try to help each other out, because if you're like me, you're a regular guy sitting in your garage just wrenching, right? And I'm hoping to be able to answer some questions, provide you some cool tips, show you a couple products that I find out there that I found useful, and hopefully we can all benefit. So until my next video does come out, I hope to see you in the wing.